AITA for kicking my mother out of my wedding? My late wife passed away 6 years ago. We dated for 4 years and were married for 1 before her passing. My mom loved her as a daughter since I'm her only child, and I guess she never truly recovered. I loved my late wife too. But after meeting and spending time with my current wife, I'm sure she was not the love of my life. My mom has never liked my relationship with my wife, Helena. She thinks I moved on too fast, and refuses to admit that my love for my Helena is bigger and truer than the one I had for my late wife. There's a few instances before the actual wedding when I thought my mom crossed the invisible line. But my wife, wanting to be accepted, let it pass and asked me to no do anything. My mom was constantly talking and comparing the wedding with my first one. We married young and I couldn't afford lots or big things. With Helena, I'm financially stable and I was capable of having a big, beautiful wedding. She asked several times if I could invite my late wife's parents to my wedding as an act of love and to tell them I was still there for them. But I refused. I haven't talked to them in years and I have no reason for keeping them in my life. She was very adamant, and even Helena said that if I wanted to have them there, then it was okay. But I didn't want to. I felt like my mom had hold onto my previous marriage too hard, refusing to let go and inviting me to do the same. As bad as it sounds, I was done. I want to be with Helena without the burden of always having my ex-in-laws there, watching the life her daughter and I did not have. During the wedding day, my mom actually showed up with them. I asked what they're doing there and they, very ashamed, said that my mother had invited them and they thought it was okay. My mom said they're my family, and I had a duty toward them. I said they could stay for the reception to avoid comments, but that I hadn't invited them and that I was sorry. I looked to my mom and said, "You're not allowed to stay to anything. Leave. We will talk later." She cried and begged, but I asked her again to leave. In the end, the 3 of them left together, and my dad, who has been divorced of her for almost 15 years, called me an awe. Judging just on the wedding situation. NTA. But you do sound kind of callous speaking about your late wife like that. Almost like it was convenient that she passed so you could move on to find your true love. Both you and your mom need therapy. And you did need to treat your ex-in-laws better. They were unwittingly brought into this situation by your mom and had no idea. NTA. Your mother overstepped a big time. I feel sorry for your new wife. It must be terrible feeling that her mill won't accept her and will hold her to unachievable standards of dead dill. And I feel sorry for your late wife parents. Your mother literally rub in their faces that you are living life that you were supposed to live with their daughter. BTW, that you love your current wife doesn't mean that the relationship with your later wife was any less than the current one. She was love of your life back then. She passed away and this created completely different life for you. Your current wife is love of your new life, and I hope you will spend lots of happy years together. I'm back and forth on this one whether everyone sucks. But I am landing with NTA. To be clear, your mother's behavior is about prioritizing her own needs, arising from whatever unresolved grief she has about the loss of your first wife. Not about loyalty or anything more noble. And she put your former in-laws in the middle, at an event that likely was an emotionally charged one for them. I feel worst for them in all of this. But I can't hold accountable for that, as he was in a terrible position himself. For the wedding incident. NTA. For treating your dead wife as just another woman on your way to bigger and better thing. Yay, you're a jerk. I've been trying to figure out what bothers me about your post, and finally realized it's this. You said that your mother loved your first wife like a daughter, and then, my mom has never liked my relationship with my wife, Helena. She thinks I moved on too fast, and refuses to admit that my love for my Helena is bigger and truer than the one I had for my late wife. Why would you tell your mother that your love for your new wife is bigger and truer than the love you had for a woman that your mother misses so desperately? There's no question that your mother should not have invited your former in-laws. But it seems disingenuous to invite them to stay knowing you would be immediately kicking out your mother. There's a lack of compassion here that's troubling. You've moved on. Your mother hasn't. Why has it been so hard for you to be kind about that? NTA. Your mom completely overstepped. You were within your rights to be angry with her and do what you did. I feel so bad for your ex-in-laws for being caught in the middle of this. Your mom needs therapy. Showing up with uninvited guests to a wedding is beyond rude. Showing up with guests that were specifically not invited is worse. If I were in your shoes, I'm fairly sure I would already be NC with her. She lost a daughter-in-law. If she doesn't start respecting you, she is likely to lose a son as well. NTA. And considering you're consistently having to argue against your mother, I'm not surprised you've formed a very blasé view of your first wife. To me, it seems like the way you talk about your late first wife has been colored by your frustration with your mother, rather than really thinking about your first wife and the relationship you had. You're thinking about your mom's dismissiveness of your feelings and new relationship. Her insistence on doing things her way, her overstepping of boundaries, and her rudeness towards your wife. I don't get any cruelty from your post. Only honesty, because this is how you feel right now. You also aren't obligated to share every step of your grieving process or first marriage with Reddit. And your attitude about your late wife isn't really relevant because the issue is between you and your mother. Your mom desperately needs grief counseling and therapy before she loses you, too. NTA for kicking out your mom, but YTA for the way you speak about your late wife. Why would you insult her this way? She doesn't deserve it. You moved on, but this should not be a comparison game at all. You're cruel to the dead. You're willingly tainting good memories with her. Almost sounds like you're overcompensating for your new wife because maybe you feel guilty on some level. But your comments about your late wife are unwarranted. Accept your poor ex-in-laws. Look, man, you want to act like your first marriage was an unfortunate side adventure on the road to the real love of your life. Neither your mom nor anyone else can stop you. She certainly can't invite people to your wedding without your permission, regardless of who they are. But boy, do I hope you and your late wife didn't have kids you've conveniently neglected to mention. Because you don't have to make it this blatantly obvious to the people who do still miss her. How little you don't. Info. Did your late wife's family cause any drama that would make you want to keep them out of the wedding? Or did you not invite them because you didn't want any reminders of your late wife? NTA, but I do think using some less callous language would be wise. You make it sound almost like you're glad your first wife is gone so you could marry Helena. Your mother does need to understand that you have a right to move on with your life. However, I loved my late wife too. But after meeting and spending time with my current wife, I'm sure she was not the love of my life. My love for my Helena is bigger and truer than the one I had for my late wife. YTA. What way is that to speak about your late wife? Why is it a competition? You got married young. She passed away. You grieved. And you met someone new. None of that is inherently bad. But the way you talk about your late wife is a bit cruel. How do you think her parents would feel about those statements? During the wedding day, my mom actually showed up with them. I asked what they're doing there and they, very ashamed, said that my mother had invited them and they thought it was okay. YTA. Asking someone what they're doing there is pretty rude. It was out of line for your mother to invite any guests you and your wife did not personally send an invitation to. But you didn't have to be rude to them. They were tricked by your mother. That's on her, not on them. You also could have spoken to your mother after the fact and not made things awkward with your late wife's parents, who clearly felt unwelcome despite your reluctant invitation to stay for the reception. Your mother should not have invited them behind your back. But you could have been nicer to them. Wow. Your mom really does not care about your boundaries. Also, she needs extensive therapy since you've moved on, but she clearly hasn't. NTA. NTA. You do need to accept that the relationship with your parents is over. They will not accept the new wife. I can't imagine that it will survive. Congratulations though. NTA. Your mom sucks. I feel bad for the in-laws as they just ended up being pawns in her scheme. Honestly, I would have been concerned inviting them, as it may be very hard for them to watch Op marrying someone else. If I were the in-laws, it would just remind me of my deceased daughter and how awful it was that she hadn't been able to live the life she had wanted with Op. In a weird way, they might also feel hurt, as if Op was rubbing his new marriage in their face and feel he is callous for moving on with his life as though their daughter never existed. I may just be thinking too deep into it. NTA. Your mom is though. I feel like I can't judge this BC of how you talk about your deceased wife. It rubs me the wrong way. The way you feel the need to label and rank the two women. No one here is expecting you to stay living in the past and holding on to your grief. You can move on. No arguments there. But you don't have to talk about your late wife as she was nothing or less than your current wife. It shouldn't be a competition or a comparison. They are two different people from two different times in your life. By all means, be happy. But stop speaking about her as though she wasn't that important anyway. It just comes across as you're glad that she's gone so you can now marry Helena. You're talking about her like she was just some sidebit player in your life instead of a whole human being that had her own life, which was cut tragically short. She died thinking you loved her. And you're here now acting as if she was a brief unfortunate stepping stone. Just have more respect for her, man. This would leave a bitter taste in most people's mouths. NTA. I am so sorry that your mom is making Helena feel like a second-rate wife. Good job for protecting your wife. Enjoy your second shot at love. Info. Do you have issues socially? This is not meant to be an insult, as I do not think being on the spectrum is an insult. I am on it myself. But your tone comes across cold and factual and makes it seem that you do not care for your late wife. If you are done mourning, great. But saying that you're moving on to bigger and better things after her death has a bad ring to it. And I think will earn you an A badge. It's good to happy. Your mom has no say in that. But you do not seem to have any love your last wife at all.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.